I think this is gonna be a long one. Sorry in advance, but it's important, I think. Hi everybody, it's me Rebecca, and it's been a little over a week since I did my video last, and since I did my last video I've been in Skåne visiting family and cleaning up stuff and like sorting through a whole bunch of stuff, and it's been good. I got all the stuff done that I wanted to do. I met up with my friend Jonte and we did a bunch of collabs, which are going to come up at one point. And yeah, I had a really great time. I made vegan barbecue that I like organized with my grandmother, but the recipe was basically mine that I kind of like improvised, and I did that for the first time and it went great, so that was awesome. I got to see my siblings. I got an old chair because when I was putting stuff in storage they had a whole bunch of stuff that were going to go to basically just gonna get thrown out, and the guy there asked me if I wanted something, and I looked around a bit and then I found this really cool like solid wooden chair with like straw-filled seat, and it's so cool and ornate, and at one point it's going to be in my videos, but not yet because right now it's in storage in Skåne. The downside is that, well, not really. I've talked earlier in other videos about having gone through depression and anxiety and just struggling with not being mentally well, going on medication and just not being your best. And I've had a couple of months that I've been just really good and like kind of on a serotonin high, like just feeling good since, well, I think of 2 months, and I'm just now coming down from that, and that has not been easy, because I, like most other people, enjoy feeling well, and now I don't feel as well. It's not that I am sad or angry, or I'm not actually depressed anymore, but I've just had days of feeling bad, like mentally bad, and one day it got really clear to me that I am not at my best right now was when I was going to make dinner with Alice and our friend Julia, and I just felt that I couldn't breathe, and this intense pressure kind of built up inside me, and I just felt the anxiety like bubbling up and all these negative feelings, and I just had to get out of there. I actually went for a long walk with music and like tried to help my brain process things and like shut down. It didn't fully work. I didn't have enough time to walk around because, well, I had to have them start dinner and then we were having dinner, and I didn't want to miss it because I didn't want all that to go to waste. Yeah, I'm getting a little tight-chested from talking about this. Sorry. But that got me thinking about doing this video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and talking about talking about what I do to help myself when I start to feel bad, or when I feel bad, and the tools I used to cope with with my depression, when I was in it, when I was on medication, and when I was getting off medication and like going back into life. Because that was not easy, and you need some tips and tricks that you use when you start feeling bad. So I thought this is a good reason as I need to do this video, and it will give myself a moment to like go back and remember what it is I usually do when I feel bad and hopefully utilize it. And as I was describing feeling bad the other day, right now I started getting this tight, anxious feeling in my chest again, and I can feel my heartbeat speed up and having trouble breathing. So, good timing. I also want to say that I am actually in therapy for dealing with stuff from my childhood, from just stuff that's been a long time coming, and I'm finally getting help for that, which I'm really happy about. And I can feel myself making progress, which is great, but it's also so difficult and so rough. And basically I go to see my shrink, and then afterwards I feel like a wrought out rag, because I've been crying and I'm so drained, and I feel basically all crumpled and like wadded up and just, I don't know, wrinkly, like a moist towel that someone just has dipped in water and then just rinsed out. But I also know that after I've been through that, I always feel better. It can take as much as a couple of hours or even up to the next day, but after I've been to therapy and after I've like addressed my problems and taken care of them, I usually feel better in the long run, because then I'm a dry blanket finally, because then the last excess moisture has been dried off. So yeah, I'm gonna start going through what I usually do, and hopefully this might help someone other than me, I don't know. The first symptoms I usually get of that tells me that I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole is this tight feeling in my chest that I've mentioned a few times now, and the inability to get enough oxygen. Like, I'm not getting dizzy, I'm not hyperventilating, I just feel like I'm not getting enough air. And usually right after that my heart starts pounding, and that is a very common sign of anxiety or the start of a panic attack, which I'm not going into right now. I'm not getting a panic attack right now, that is what I meant. I'm just anxious because this is a difficult subject for me. But yeah, I'm having those feelings right now, and what I do first, before I do anything else, and this is gonna sound so cliche and like something that's been talked about a lot, but I take several really deep breaths. Some people, when they do this, they count, like they breathe in for a certain number of seconds, like 8 I think, and then hold that breath for 7 minutes and then release it during 5 seconds, or like breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. I do not do that personally because the counting stresses me out. So what I do is I just take this fill my lungs and my body with as much air as I can muster comfortably. I don't want to explode or anything. But like when you're blowing up a balloon, you can feel that to a certain point, this is gonna be fine, but if I go much further, the balloon's gonna pop. So what I do is I fill my balloon, I breathe in comfortably much, like make sure to fill out all the space in the lungs and just let the air take up as much space as it's comfortable for it to do. And then I hold that inside me, like take a moment and just feel that, yeah, I got air. And then I slowly breathe out. Also, when I hold the breath inside me, I usually feel my heartbeat. And maybe hold it for a few of those, just make sure that, yeah, my heart is actually beating and there is oxygen in me, aka my heart is getting enough oxygen, that it's getting into the rest of me, and then I just breathe out. And what happens inside you when you do this is that you basically take a break. You force your body to take a moment and relax, and you also force your brain to just not think about whatever it is that's stressing you out and instead focus on this one action. And that usually helps. And also when you take a deep breath and do this for a few times, you actually slow down your heartbeat. Same as when you go to sleep. And that is why it works for me. But now since I'm talking about it over and over again, I'm getting worked up again. I did this at an airport recently because the flights were delayed or cancelled, and it was this big old thing, and it was affecting me too. And afterwards I just felt my heart like race away and I couldn't breathe properly. My chest felt tight. And so I took several deep breaths and it didn't work that one time because I was at an anxious place, I was among people, I couldn't take a break, but it didn't make things worse. It's not a fix-all, it just helped things not get worse, and that was what I needed. Sometimes, however, or most of the time when I'm really bad, this doesn't help. It didn't help when I was making dinner with my friends because, again, I couldn't like step away and I couldn't just focus on that because I was doing other stuff. And then also what I like to do, because a lot of my problems make me get emotionally overcharged, like it's just too much to think about, too much to handle, to process. It gets so busy everywhere, and what I do is I put on comfortable shoes, like gym shoes, sneakers, put on headphones, great upbeat music, or just music in general that is distracting, hopefully, and then I just walk. Like I head outside and I just walk, and sorry I keep scratching myself, it's something I do when I'm worked up. And I just walk and let the music just distract me and let my legs do all the walking, and that helps me process things and emotions and like get through most of the emotions without having to focus on them. For example, if after some really bad conversations with people that have triggered my anxiety or started me on the path towards a panic attack, not like charging into it, but like I'm starting to spiral, then this really helps because, for one, when you move for an extended period of time, your body releases endorphins, and the music distracts me, and just also the getting outside gives you a change of scenery, it's an oxygen-rich environment, hopefully, and it just all comes together to shut this off and help this get back in sync. In a way that I sometimes really need. Sometimes you just can't leave the apartment or your house and you just feel trapped and shut in, and then maybe I need a while, but as soon as I'm actually able, just walking outside really helps. I can also do things while I'm outside, such as calling someone I know I can talk to, that I can talk to when I feel bad, and just have someone else talk to me or someone I can listen to while I'm moving also really helps distracting you, because then also you get to work through your problems as well as moving, and the act of physically moving forward really helps me. Another good thing, like little thing I do is usually I tense up. I tense up a lot when I'm anxious or nervous, and just shaking my hands out usually helps, because usually I do this and I scratch myself, I tense so much, and just shaking them out really helps, because just forcing myself to relax a certain body part. Or just doing this also. Just being aware that I am tensing up, and then that actually helps, because then I'm like, oh shit, I'm tensing up, I'm not good. And then suddenly I'm like relaxed and not as tense anymore, and generally start feeling a bit more relaxed because of that. Because that is how weirdly the body works. Something I really had a problem with whilst I was depressed, and something that might still make me really anxious, and I think was part of my panic attacks of it, was that I constantly feel stressed, like I'm not doing enough. That is an awful feeling that I hate so much. It's still something that kind of haunts me, that I don't feel like I have done enough during a day, and it keeps me from relaxing. And so what I did while I was feeling really bad, when I was like on sick leave for months and months with this depression, was that I actually made an achievement list that I shared with my sister and my friend Bella. And basically every day I'd write up what I've done, all the things I've done. It'd be things like I ate breakfast, I got up before noon, I got dressed in clean clothes, I showered, I emptied the litter box, I took out the trash, I cleaned a few dishes, I made dinner, I swept the floor, I finished knitting this thing, I read a book, I went for a walk, I called the doctor, I went to the doctor, I brushed my hair, I drank a lot of water. Anything I did that was even remotely related to me taking care of myself or my apartment or the people around me, I wrote up on that list. And all these little things, they ended up to like this much text, and I'm not talking single space, like skipping a line after one. I'm talking like writing like this, because that's what I did back then, and it really helped. I'm gonna see if I can find one. Okay, for one, on the 1st of August, I did the dishes, I threw out trash, I threw out moldy old food and took out the compost. I took out the recycling. I swept the bathroom floor to clean up kitty litter. I booked a laundry time. I changed kitty litter. I went to the store. I had a severe panic attack and powered through without extra medication, because then I also took medication during my panic attacks. This was 2 years ago. Watered the plants and fed the cats. And that day I felt like I had done nothing. I felt like the worst, laziest person who just walked around at home doing nothing. So writing these things down really helped, and that was a really, really productive day. And still I felt like I didn't do enough. And for example, just a month before, a day read like this for me. I took a long walk, ate veggies and fruit, cleaned the kitty litter, and I picked up my meds. It was apparently a really, really long walk, but I still felt like I had done absolutely nothing. And writing these things down and doing so continuously, over and over again, where people could see it and get me a boost and comment on what I had done, really, really helped. So what I recommend is, when you don't feel like you ever do enough, is write these things down, share them with a select few friends. It could be a spouse, a significant other, a parental figure, a sibling, a friend, anyone, and just show it to them. And like, it's basically holding up saying, I did this, I did something. And then having someone just take a look at it and say, yeah, you did do something. That is a huge boost, because it's validation from someone for something you actually did. It's not just, oh no, you're pretty, and oh no, you're doing great. It's you showing them evidence that you did something, and them validating that evidence. And at least for me, that helps a lot. Another thing that I also really, really had to do when I was in a really bad place, and still do sometimes when I feel like I'm starting to spiral, is give myself a mental health day. Just give myself a day when it's alright not to do anything at all. It's perfectly fine for me to just sit at my computer scrolling down Tumblr, or lie on the couch watching some series and not knit, not craft, not watch anything new. It can be just something stupid I watched 100 times, and just do nothing, and that is alright, because this day is the day I do nothing. Because that makes you allow yourself to have some space and take all the pressure off, and that helps so much. When you are starting to get sick, or when you're sick and you know you have to go to work, or you have to go to school, and you just feel so much worse, but as soon as you've called in and said that, just call in sick, you feel so much better. I used to feel really bad about feeling better after I called in sick, but that's how you work, because you relax, because you're allowed. You don't have to tense up and go to work. You're allowed to be sick, and then you relax. And taking a mental health day does exactly the same thing, and it can save a whole week or even a month to just take a day where you're allowed not to do anything. And I know you technically have the days off on weekends, but usually you have a lot of stuff to do on weekends too, like going to meet friends, or getting all the groceries for the week, doing all the cleaning. There's so much you're supposed to do during the weekend too. So having a day when you just don't do anything. It's great. Then I maybe end up doing something anyway, because I felt like it. And that's just a bonus, because you have this day to do nothing. Now, if you do have mental health problems, or think you might have them, or just really need someone, you just feel something might be wrong or you should look into this, then honestly go to a professional, because I'm not one. And these are just things that have helped me. They might not help you. Mental health professionals might help you even more. While I was doing really bad, I also had a hard time actually working out or doing anything physical. And one of the things that helped me there was yoga. You can find yoga classes online, some are even free. And you basically just do them alone in your living room. And that's been great for me. I haven't actually done that in ages. But when I've done it, I usually felt a bit better, because physical exercise, taking some time just to focus on specific things like muscles, is basically probably as good as any other workout. So yeah, that is also a thing I have done when I've been in a bad place. And also because your body tends to tense up and it tends to like get bad posture, doing something that stretches you out and relaxes you usually helps with that. Also, when I'm in a real bad place and when I'm really stressed out, I tend to have a hard time falling asleep, because I stay up staring at the ceiling, thinking of all the stuff I should have been doing, all the stuff I could have been doing, and I just work myself into a frenzy. Or a stressed out panic attack, lying there trying to fall asleep and feeling bad because I haven't finished stuff, and feeling bad because there's stuff I'm going to have to do. And there are lots of tips of how to deal with this, but one of the things that really helped me just shut off is to just actually distract my brain. Because I know you can do the whole thing where you're thinking that, yes, I did everything I could have done today, I'm a good person, and tomorrow's problems are tomorrow's problems. But for me, that doesn't work, because I still feel guilty about not having done stuff. So I also, I started doing this at a time where I had a lot of trouble listening to audiobooks and reading, because I just couldn't get into it. Because when I was on my meds, I couldn't focus on someone else's problems. But something I could do was listen to meditation things. And one of my favorites were, some of my favorites were ones where you do a body scan. But yeah, there are some of these that are just really great, and my favorites are the ones where you start at your feet and work up, because those just resonate better with me. There are others that will start at the head or at the hands or at the stomach. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways to meditate, but usually these help me a lot, and that is because technically you're doing exercise, so you're being productive. But you're being productive as something relaxing. Your job is to relax, and you can't relax harder by trying more. And for me that really helps, because you distract the brain, you still do something that's good for you, so bonus points. And you go through each muscle in the body relaxing, and when the reason you usually have a hard time falling asleep is because you're tense. At least for me that is. And distracting and shutting my brain off and relaxing every part of my body is just a great way to just drift off. And usually I drifted off like around the torso. I don't actually ever remember getting to the head, because it was like a 40-minute thing, and I did not need all of those 40 minutes to relax, but I still liked them. And then maybe I'd wake up briefly, turn it off, and then just go back to sleep because I was already relaxed. One of the most important things I discovered very late, like right now, was that earlier I was treating the symptoms that made me feel really bad and made me depressed instead of treating the actual cause. The thing that like knocked me for a loop and made me just go as far down as I could was problems with my work. But I'd had problems before that things were just piling on top of. And so of course quitting my job because I had to helps, because then I didn't go there and didn't feel as bad anymore. But I still had the underlying problems. So what I'm doing now is treating the cause of those problems instead of just treating the symptoms, and it is really helping. But it's also so much more painful and also feels so much better. It's very similar to when I had a tumor in my foot, because sure, putting on a heat pad and like massaging the muscles and like sometimes even stopping the blood flow because pain, it helped temporarily, and sure, I felt kind of better. But having to go into surgery and like cutting my foot open and doing all that stuff and then walking around with a cast, that was difficult and painful and awful. But I feel so much better now. Actually, while I've been talking about all these things about what I do to feel better, especially the meditation stuff when we made a brief walkthrough, and making sure I took my time breathing, which I kind of do automatically now. Compared to the beginning of this video when I was getting very tensed and very anxious, right now I feel almost like normal again. And that's kind of awesome. It's also something I really want to say is that struggling with mental health and with depression is not a symptom, or it's not you being weak at all. It's not you not being able to handle life, because life is damn hard. It's just something being too much and you need a break, and that is fine. Every day that you still exist, every day you still wake up is a win. Because it's so freaking difficult to get up out of bed. And every day you go through that whole day and still go to bed in the end, or wherever you sleep, is just a huge win, because that is one more day that you just powered through. And I actually said this to a friend of mine, and it's something that really helps me. It's that basically you're fighting something around you or in you every day. And every day you have gone through is one more like tally in the win column. And those days really add up. And even when you feel you do nothing at all, or you just feel like you're useless and lazy and don't get anything done, if you still have gone through that day, that's still a win. And of course you shouldn't feel bad if my tips doesn't work for you, because for everyone it's different, and everyone's mental issues stem from something they have their own unique perception of and experience of. This is especially clear for me because things are difficult for me are easier for people I love, and things I can do they struggle with a lot. And I know I'm not done with my recovery yet, and at this point I'm actually a little bit scared of being done with it because I'm so used to feeling bad, which I know makes no sense at all, but it still happens. And having felt pretty good for a while and actually accepted that I felt good, and then going back a couple of steps back to a place where I don't feel as good is terrifying. For me, it's really scary. And right now I'm looking back at all these years that I was really depressed and on medication. I couldn't even get out of bed properly or shower more than once a week, if even that, because it was too much effort. It drained too much from me. And just think about all these years I went through feeling like crap. I'm kind of angry at those years because I feel cheated, because I was supposed to have years feeling good and I didn't. But there's also no one to blame for that. And I'm also really, really happy that I made it through those years and I'm here now. And if I hadn't gone through all these years, if I hadn't gotten all those little wins, like every day, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't have a chance to be angry that I felt bad for so long. If that makes sense. That's just where I am. Because no one, I think, ever wants this, and I didn't want to start my 20s feeling like crap. But I still did. But now also I have, hopefully, several years ahead of me of being angry at losing that time and making up for it and being the best damn person I can be. And for everyone who's actually going through this right now, or have gone through it, or feel like they're spiraling and going down, I just want you to know that I kind of get it, some part of it anyway, and I'm so proud of you for still being here, for getting all those little wins every day, and just keep swimming. This got really emotional for me. So yeah, I hope my tips helped someone else as well. And if you have your own tips that you use, please tell me, both for myself and maybe I can tell them to someone else if they need them. And yeah, just keep swimming. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. I felt my shoulders just climbing up.